alignment. Today's episode is on what is awakening. So I bet you've been asking yourself, what is this whole awakening thing? What does it mean to awaken? It's so interesting that we're probably doing it and don't even realize it. So today I want to explain to you a little bit more about what spiritual awakening is. And really, it's just dissolving the illusion that you are separate from the whole collective, from oneness, from God, whatever you want to call it. And it's a revelation that you are more than this experience that you've been having. This means that you'll be dissolving old wounds, the false beliefs, those illusions that you have been taught, and it will shift you towards expressing yourself in a different way so that you get to be that goddess. And this is what this is all about, is stepping into your goddess self. And it's going out of the realm of what society has said that we are, that we need to become, the rules that we need to follow. And it's really stepping into your higher consciousness, AKA that soul connection, right?
Yep. I think part of the most interesting part of awakening is that we don't have a choice, right? It's part of our grand plan. There is no choice about whether you awaken or don't awaken.
Yeah, everyone will awaken at some point. It is just, it's part of the natural process. But what we're experiencing because of what society is going through, we're going through the grand awakening, where it's like this huge shift in consciousness and you are just going to wake up. It's part of the plan. And it's how you go through it. So sometimes understanding what that is helps you go through it a little bit easier.
Well, sure. And hopefully we can give you some tools on navigating that. What does it feel like? Okay. When we're feeling depressed, what does that feel like? How do we navigate that?
Well, and awaken? It's really going into the heart, you know, because this is a mind, body, soul connection. So there's many pieces to this part, but when we start to realize that we are more than this human experience, that we are spiritual beings in a human body, or a meat suit, if you want to call it, and that we're having this experience and that we get to control it. And it's understanding all that. So when this is part of you really waking up and taking back that control again, and what is your mind telling you? What is your body telling you? And you're connecting to the soul. And it's the awakening. You're waking up to who you really are. So the light can shine really bright in all the depths of you. And that you know the truth. And that you're going to clean up everything around you, including your body, so that you can be a clear connection to that spirit self that you really are. So let's talk about some of the symptoms of waking up. You know, Melissa, what do you see in your practice as people are waking up?
In my practice, for the most part, one of the most common symptoms is starting to question. They start to question authority. They start to question the old systems. They start to question the rules. They start to question things. Like, why does this make sense? Why have I always been told that? And is it true? And it might be, but they start to question and think really critically about the rules that have been placed upon them.
They're actually seeing the illusion, right? They're seeing the illusion and they're going, wait, this doesn't seem right. So this is when you come connected. When you can clean out your body and your mind, this connection happens where you are like, wait, that doesn't seem right. Something's wrong. My body feels off. This is an energy thing, right? My body feels off, or my head's not clear, or I'm experiencing things and it doesn't quite make sense, but you can't quite put your finger on it at this point. So this is I think the beginning of the awakening, would you say?
Probably. Actually, I think we're clearly in the middle of it. The last readings that I saw, we have like 60-ish% of the light on the planet.
No, so we've come up a lot because it
We've
wasn't.
come up a lot. That was the
Yeah.
last reading I heard. And I think we came up a lot in the past 4 months.
Yes, I think there's been a lot of light coming into the planet to help us awaken it. I mean, we're being assisted by, some galactic beings that are the light, because we are so much more than this body that we're in. And once you start to awaken, you realize that, and you're like, wow, I am the creator, and I get to create whatever I want in my life.
Right. And if I want a vibrant, healthy body,
mm-hmm.
to finish out this experience with, there's some work that needs to be done. I find it comes a lot in the brain.
Yeah.
Our organs in the brain, there's a lot of organs in the brain. The glands have been modified and changed through chemicals, through toxicity. Fluoride is a huge one. Calcifies the pineal gland, so you actually can't even experience the light.
Oh, that's just, I can't believe all the things that, have been done to modify our experience here.
Right.
I know we came to experience duality, but this has gotten a little crazy.
It's gotten kind of out of control. Yeah.
Right. And that's what this is about too. What we're experiencing in the world right now is part of the balance and bringing us back to understanding who we are. And it needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. It for sure did. It for sure did. Because, you cannot truly embrace and acknowledge and find the joy in the light if you don't know what the darkness looks like. It's that contrast that allows us to choose.
Totally. Yeah, we have to have the contrast, but it's understanding what to do with the contrast, because even in contrast, we don't have to go into that deep, dark place. It's how we're how we're seeing it. We can look at it and go, oh, I see you. Yeah. And how am I going to react to that? It's always about our response. So that brings you back into flow. And we'll talk more about that in some other episodes. But, today I want you to understand some of the symptoms so that you might be experiencing some of these things, but you don't really know what they are. So it's like hypersensitivity, or you have a heightened awareness, right? Maybe your intuition is starting to kick in and you're becoming to a place where you're in tune with your environment. You might seem to be more empathetic than you used to be. And you're like, what's going on with that? You might be, this is coming a lot. I've heard a lot of people saying this, where they're experiencing overwhelming feelings of love, which is that light that's coming into the planet, which is amazing, which is something they haven't experienced, because really we are love and light.
Yeah.
You might be experiencing lucid dreams.
That's a fun one.
And a lot of people are, texting me or calling me, go, I had this dream. It's like, this stuff is crazy. I had one last night, and I'm like, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So know that there's synchronicities that are happening.
Yeah.
Simultaneously the events are occurring and they're related to something else. Deja vu. Oh my goodness. I have been having so much of that lately. It's crazy because we really do remember. Yeah. We kind of had this plan. We had this plan, right? We knew, and we're experiencing many timelines at the same time. And we'll, again, talk more about that in a later episode. But in those timelines, we are experiencing the past, present, and future all at once. So that's where your deja vu kind of comes in.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I did that before.
Yep.
You might even be experiencing extreme peace or calmness that you've never felt before.
Right.
Disillusions, feelings like you're in this dreamlike state. Well, while you're awake in the current reality. So I've had that a lot where I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Because I don't feel like I'm on this timeline. That other
disconnected feeling disconnected from what is going on around you and what others are experiencing.
Totally. And then there's the loneliness is another one too.
Yes.
And I think people are experiencing that more because of all the shutdown and everything that's going on.
Yes.
So you might.
But that's part of why we decided to build this channel, was so that people who were feeling that way could reach out and recognize that there is a community of us. There's lots of us out here. right?
Yeah.
And they might not live in your house, they might not live in your neighborhood, but there are lots of us out here. And this is where we're going to build our community.
Right. As you're finding, and there'll be more and more people as we continue through this experience, there's going to be more and more people who are on the same page with you. So you are not alone.
Right.
And you have somewhere to go, wait, where do I go? Because my people in my world are not understanding where I'm at. I hear that a lot. And then that's okay. This is where they're at. But you get to take back control of your life and find those people who are connected in that place to support you. So that's another reason why we wanted to create this channel.
Well, and it's fun to be able to bounce ideas and thoughts and intuitions off of others who you know are on a similar path. Right? So you can talk about, well, what are you experiencing? This is what I think is going on. Is it true for the rest of you?
Yep. Yeah, because sometimes you feel like you're in it alone, right? But once you start talking to people, now I've experienced that before and didn't know what it was. So you keep, the community is
well,
huge.
and I think part of it is there's a lot of programming that has gone on in our brains.
Yes.
Through outside sources, right? Not coming from us, not coming from the divine, that it takes some time and some effort to really sort through all of that and recognize, okay, that's not me.
Yes.
That's not me. That's not mine. I don't own it. Right. And you need that back and forth, that communication with others to sometimes recognize that, those thoughts, those looping things going through your brain, those are not really you.
And that's one of those symptoms too, is that you feel like your life is false, that everything that you believed and you built and you worked toward is not true. Your life doesn't feel like it's your own. You don't feel like yourself, because everything around you is changing. You're like, why is this happening? And that's part of the awakening, is waking up to the illusion.
Yep.
That's been created for us.
And the spectacular part is, on the other side, you realize that you get to create the most wonderful experience.
Exactly.
For yourself.
Yeah. Because it does send you, so part of the awakening too is that you all of a sudden have this deep desire to find the meaning of life.
Yeah.
Or your purpose. Like, what is my purpose? I'm so confused right now. It feels like there's something missing. And what's missing is your soul connection. Because once you're connected, this is a breeze. It's hard to explain until you've got there, but it really is easy. And
that's the flow.
Yep. Flow. Yes. It's dissolving the illusion so that you get to create from the right place.
Yeah. From that heart, from the joy, from the goodness that's in you.
Yeah. And you might be experiencing questions like, why am I here? What is my purpose?
Right.
What happens to me after I die?
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. Why do people suffer? All of those things come up because you're questioning that. And that's amazing, because that means that you're starting to wake up, right?
Yeah. That's perfect. It's exactly what you want to happen.
Mm-hmm. And so then you start to think, well, wait, I need to transform some of these beliefs that I have, because you realize that maybe they're not true.
And they're not serving you anymore.
And then that's about you actually doing the work. So that gets into that place of you doing what we call the inner work. It's that you're doing that work to clean up your body, to clean up your mind, to clean up your spirituality, so that you can stay connected. And really, that's when life becomes ease and flow. Yeah. And you experience peace all the time. And
there's beauty everywhere, and there's excitement, and there's joy, and there's love. I mean, all of this stuff is just right there. It's right there. We just need to do that inner work, and you'll find it.
Yeah. And Melissa, maybe want to talk a little bit about the difference between spiritually awakening and what's going on in society right now, and what the difference is between that.
That's a good question. There's a lot of information out there about something called the Great Awakening. And while it's related to spirituality, there's a spiritual aspect of it. I think some of it has gotten derailed into more of a political or societal awakening. And so I think we often experience both, but you can do the inner work, that awakening inside yourself to find all the peace and joy and still not have a clue what's going on in the greater world. Or you can come at it the other way from the greater world. That's where you started to question and why you started to question. But ultimately, it all leads back to that inner work.
Right.
It leads
Yeah.
back to your heart and your spirit and your light.
And I think that's when you almost feel like I've heard a lot of people talking about they're like purging their life right now, which is, I think it's part of it because they're like, I need to get rid of all this stuff. And they don't know why exactly, but
Yeah.
it's about the purge. And you're just sick and tired of feeling stranded, depressed, hopeless,
Held down.
and you feel like you need to declutter your life. So people are like cleaning their closets like crazy and getting rid of stuff. And they're finding that the material stuff is not the true meaning of life.
It didn't bring them the joy.
No, and it wasn't about that. And they're even cutting ties with people that have been toxic. Their relationships have been toxic.
You can definitely outgrow people for sure. And that's
right.
not an easy thing to acknowledge and act on, but it does happen a lot.
And I think we're finding, just with all of the societal experiences that we've had in the last few months, that people are realizing that job that they had maybe isn't what they really desire, or the way that they want it, that they were actually enslaved to it. Right. And that they don't have to be, and that there's a new way. So I think that's really cool too, that we got to go through that experience. People can look at it in a one way, or they can look at it in the positive way and go, wow, this has been an amazing experience. Because it got to show me what I don't want. Again, contrast. In the contrast, we get to see something different.
Choose. You get to choose.
Yeah, we can make a different choice.
Do you find that most people don't really know what they want?
Yes, until they start to really get rid of, like, it's that decluttering of the mind, of the body, of everything around them. And when they start doing that, they start to go, wait, I kind of do know. I mean, it's all of a sudden it just drops in, and they're like, I want to do this. And they'll change their whole life around, based off of what they are experiencing now. And they'll go, I don't want to do this JLB anymore. I want to do this. I want to help people do this. Or they just change totally around because now they're in their heart. They're in their true essence of that goddess self that they are. And they get to experience something different. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is what I've always wanted. Yep. So you can get there, but you really got to do the work to get rid of the junk.
Yeah. Yeah. The fear. It's all the fear.
Cleaning out the trunk. Get rid of the junk. Clean the trunk.
Yeah.
Because
it's like baggage.
Yeah.
It holds you down.
Yeah. Get rid of those old suitcases because they just don't serve you anymore. Mm-mm. So you might even be experiencing a desire to be alone in solitude. You might be craving that because that's where we really get to go inward. Both Melissa and I do meditation work, and it really is about you going inward, and that is the connection. So, we'll probably do some meditations as we go through this channel series, and you'll learn a little bit more about connection, because it's so important for you to really connect to the soul self so that you can look at the world in a different way and go, that's not real. That's an illusion. And you'll know the difference between the two.
Yeah. And it kind of messes with your brain a little bit when you're exposed to these experiences for the first time, or these words like that's an illusion. You're like, but it's right there.
Yeah.
Right. That's really hard for our human brain to wrap your head around. Well, so how do you help people with that one?
So, it really, it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
But it really is, the first thing that is important for them to do is start to realize the emotions that they're having, because those emotions are controlling their reality. Yeah. And I take them through my process, which is called lock, drop, and roll. So it's locking down the emotion that's driving the behavior, because most of us don't even realize that we're having emotions, and we stuff them. And I imagine you see this quite a bit in your practice.
Yeah, all the time.
And that's coming out in the physical body, because our physical body's there to show us. But when you lock down the emotion and then you can go, oh, I see you. So it's about experiencing the emotion. We came here to experience all of them. They're not bad. They're there to show us something, but you have to identify with them. Then you can look at it and go, where is that emotion coming from? So that you can drop it from your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is what's controlling everything. So when you drop it from your subconscious mind, and there's a process I take you through, you can roll into a new solution. Once they start to discover what that is and they can identify it, then they start to see things way differently. And that's when the truth starts to come out. And they're like, wait a minute. Well, that emotion, maybe it's not even yours, right? Or where is that coming from? But once they can move through that and neutralize those emotions at the core, their life changes. It just does. Because you're no longer working out of those beliefs that you've been trained to believe this is the way it is.
Right. In my practice, it shows up all the time as excuses.
Yeah.
Right. No, I can't eat that way. What am I supposed to eat? I can't eat that way. Like, well, yeah, you really can.
Well, they're staying stuck in that. Right? Everybody calls it the wheel. I've now moved to the Ferris wheel, and I'm like, when it gets to the bottom, jump, fast, jump off.
Right.
Instead of keeping going around on that Ferris wheel. But that means that you have to be able to see it differently, and you have to jump off and go, I'm making a different choice. Yeah. And it's just a simple decision, but I help them think differently, right? So that they can say, okay, well, that's possible. What does that look like? Instead of saying, I can't do it, we then look at it in a different way and go, okay, well, what's possible?
Yeah, I see that all the time as well. People come into the office all the time with things like, oh, this is just a part of getting old. No, it's not. No.
That's belief. That is simply a belief. Yeah.
That's a programmed belief in your brain. Or I can never heal this. I'm like, sure you can. Totally. Or the other one, I can't eat like that. Yeah, you can really. Or, oh, I've always been this way. But do you want to continue being that way? Right. So it's about exploring what those beliefs are so that you can change not only the physical body, but the emotional body and the mental body and the spiritual body and all of it. But you have to understand what's holding you back. Why do you think that way? Why do you believe that?
Well, and what I'm finding too now with people, as they're starting to awaken, they're experiencing more anxiety and more depression. And it's
huge.
Simply, because those things are like coming up. And it really is just misdiagnosed, because it really is fear.
And totally fear. And I think a lot of it is programmed fear. It's totally a great portion of that is not actually yours.
Yeah. And this is what it's dissolving the illusion. That's when you become able to look at it and go, wait, why am I fearing that? Is that real? Do I need to be afraid of that? And what are the beliefs behind it? Once we change the beliefs that, that are untrue about it, all of a sudden the anxiety goes away. It's so interesting how that works. But
and just like at the beginning, in the last episode, we talked about what does sovereignty mean?
Yeah.
Right? When you can acknowledge that you are a sovereign being, you are the most powerful one, and you can step into that. If you are a truly powerful sovereign being, what is there to be afraid of? Nothing.
Totally. Right. There's nothing to be afraid of.
There's nothing you can't do. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing you cannot create.
Well, and they really have taught us that we need to be afraid of everything.
Yeah.
And that's totally not true.
No,
so it's all, you're in control of those thoughts, and it's being able to shift those thoughts into a different place so that you can see things from a different perspective. And once you do that, you're starting to step into that space. And it just gets easier and easier the more that you're in that space. You become more intuitive, your intuition gets heightened, you're able to connect more easily and make decisions from your intuitive self. Which is, that never lies. When you can step into that, it never lies.
Right.
It's like the women that come in with their children and go, they're having such anxiety around tests. I'm like, great, you're not going to like what I'm going to tell them, but it works. And I'm like, your intuition knows everything because you have it in your brain. All you got to do is, what's the first response that you have? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it true? Is it false? And they'll go, that really works. And I'm like, I don't know, let's try it. They'll come back and they'll go, I aced that test. And I'm like, of course you did, because you were using your intuition. It knows everything.
It does.
And it's tapping into that. So that's part of awakening. It's tapping into your intuition.
Fun. Yeah, fun. Well, we've had a really fun conversation today. And I think it's probably time to let everybody go. But thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Brenda. This is always fun and enlightening. I love our conversations.
Me too.
I always learn a lot as well. And Brenda and I've known each other for a lot of years. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you again next time.
Bye.